All right, everybody, welcome back. Another video for you. My name is Peter Burt. I teach at Box Elder High School. I teach medical anatomy and physiology. Today we're doing Strand 5, which is all about the skeletal system, and Standard 9, and it's just about vertebrae. So we are going to rock and sock vertebrae. Now, once again, a lot of words here, but nothing to stress about. We just got to get good at these and watch them again and again and again. So here is our list of what we need to do. So our goal is we need to contrast average number, location, and function of each of the 5 groups of vertebrae and learn all their names: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal. So let's start with what we're going to do first. Okay, my favorite video game growing up was Mortal Kombat. I know that this is going to be the majority of your test questions, but I don't want to start there. So I want to do like a flawless victory. I want to grab like this guy, raw, and rip him out, okay? And look at an individual vertebrae. So what we're going to do first is we're going to label all these parts and pieces of a single vertebrae. Now, this vertebrae is actually a lumbar vertebrae, so each vertebrae looks a little bit different, but they all have similar names, basically. So here's what I want to do. This is where I get to practice how amazing you are. So let's take a peek, okay? I know you guys don't believe me, but I'm just telling you, you guys have done this enough that you guys are amazing. So even though you might not feel comfortable with these words, just take a peek at them and trust yourself. Okay, you've studied these words before. You know what a foramen is. You know what a process is. Okay, you know what arctic is. You can probably guess which part's the body. So if I could, make you label these to the best of your ability, I think you'd be surprised how well you could actually do. So what I want to do is I want to do one at a time, and we're going to start with the almighty body. So if you look at this vertebrae, you have to label the body. The body is the biggest part of the vertebrae. And as I go from my neck to my butt, the body gets bigger and bigger and bigger because it has to bear a lot more weight. Okay, the next word we're going to do is a foramen. Okay, you know foramen's a hole. So this is my vertebral foramen. So now you just got to find is, where is that foramen? Boop. It's right there. That's where my spinal cord goes through. So one of the functions of your vertebrae is to protect your spinal cord. So that is your foramen, vertebral foramen, which actually, if you go all the way up, will merge with the foramen magnum in your occipital bone. Okay, now let's do my transverse process. Now, you guys should recognize the word transverse. Okay, transverse is one of the words we did back in Unit 1. Transverse is sticking out to the side. Boop, boop. Okay, those are my transverse processes. Those are the ones sticking out to the side. Okay, I guess we should probably talk about this, okay, just to make sure you guys are all okay. This is the anterior of the body. Okay, this is the posterior of the body. If that confuses you, this is your chest, this is the front, posterior is your butt. So these guys are literally sticking out sideways, okay? That's why we call them the transverse processes, okay? Now let's do the spinous process. Now, spinous process is one of my favorite ones because it is the one sticking out the back, okay? So you can see it out here. So if you guys are watching this video, okay, if you want to have some fun, okay, trust yourself, take your fingers, right? And you go down your spinous process, just run it right down the middle of your neck, and right here, let's see if I can turn around and you guys can actually see, right here where your neck meets your shoulder, that's C7. And then I'm telling you what, man, that spinous process sticks out something fierce. Okay, so you guys are going to be able to feel that, and that's your spinous process. Okay, if you're at a swimming pool and a girl's wearing a swimsuit that's very, very, very skinny, you can see the spinous process is sticking out. Now, these two boop, 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 are extra. Okay, I just did them because I want you to know them. So the pedicle is where it connects. So think of it as like a little bridge that connects here. When we talk about diseases, we're going to talk about what happens if this guy doesn't form. And then we're going to get into what we call spina bifida. So I just wanted to mention pedicle and lamina. So think of a lamina as kind of like Lego blocks that are going to tie everything together. These are my lamina. But once again, these two are not on your map core, but I still want you to know them. Okay? And now see these guys. This is your articular facets. Okay, we have a couple of these. Artic, arthro, artic, arthro, artic, arthro, artic, arthro, artic, arthro is joint. So these are where they form joints, where the vertebrae is hooked together. Okay? So if we actually look at all those words again, I think you did pretty good on all those guys, and now we're going to be able to label them. So if we look at this view, okay, obviously we're getting to cervical, but you can see here's, I guess kind of, if we're looking at this view maybe, here's the bodies of the vertebrae, okay, here's the spinous processes sticking out the back. Transverse processes are kind of hard to see because they're coming straight at you, okay? And you can see there's a hole down the middle. That's my vertebral foramen for the spinal cord to travel down to L1, okay? So now let's do your neck. Okay, so your neck, I need you to know a couple things. Number one, cervic is the med-term word for neck. And in humans' necks, we have a whopping total of 7 vertebrae. Now in class, I did talk about these guys, so I document this one. C1 and C2 are really the only two that get their own cool name. C1 is Atlas, okay? He's the one that holds the world on his back, a mythical god. And C2 is Axis, which we're going to talk about really with, sorry, my mouse went a little crazy, with a lot of movement there. So cervical, your neck vertebrae, there's 7. Now we go down to your chest. In thoracic, you have a whopping total of 12. Now there's one thing that separates thoracic from all the other vertebrae. And it's the ribs. Thoracic have ribs and no one else does. So let's just label really quick. We got my transverse process here, articular facet here, okay, spinous process here, vertebral foramen there, okay, body here, and a ribby here. Okay, now we haven't done this yet. This is a future video, but this tissue that connects bone to bone is called an almighty ligament. So if you ever see a picture and there's a vertebrae with a rib on it, notice cervical don't have ribs, and sure enough, the next section does not have ribs either. So whenever you see ribs, go with thoracic, and there's a grand total of 12. Okay, good. All right, now let's go to lumbar. Okay, lumbar, thorac means chest, cervic means neck. Okay, lumbar means loins. Okay, so this is your lower loin cloth. Okay, and there's 5. Now these vertebrae are monstrous because they have to bear a lot of the weight. So we have 5 lumbars. Now here you can see your transverse processes sticking out to the side. These serve as good places for muscle attachment. Spinous process sticking out the back. Okay, you can't really see articular facets because they're all kind of intertwined together. But lumbar, 5. Now, how are you going to remember this? You remember it with this dude. Okay, this might be the silliest and dumbest thing that you've probably ever seen, but I'm telling you, I learned this in college and it just helped me learn it. So if it helped me, it might help you. Okay, I learned that this is old people's eating schedules. They eat breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, and dinner at 5. We have 7 cervical, we have 12 thoracic, and we have 5 lumbar. Now, I know you guys don't eat at 5. Okay, your dinner is 10 o'clock at night eating a bowl of cereal. That's your dinner. But old people, okay, eat breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, dinner at 5. 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar. Now we get to the specialized vertebrae, okay? These are your sacral vertebrae. Sacral vertebrae are kind of interesting, okay? So if we look at my sacral vertebrae, they definitely play a role because this is as crazy as this may sound. You see this like little joint right here between the sacrum and my hips? The sacrum is in green. This is really the only place where your legs attach to your body. So these guys have to be a little bit different, and as you age, around age 20, they begin to fuse. There is 5 of them, and so we still call them, you know, your sacral vertebrae, and there's 5 of them, okay? So when we talk about these, every vertebrae is named a number. You know, that's probably something I should have mentioned at the beginning. Okay, when we label the vertebrae, if you notice these kind of acronyms here, we always start with a letter, C for cervical, and then a number. C1 is cervical 1. So the next one will be C2, all the way down to C7. Now, if you notice, when we start to thoracic, we start with T1, because this is my first thoracic vertebrae right here in green. So if we're looking at it this way, this will go C7 to T1. Okay, and then we keep going on our merry way. So if we go to lumbar, okay, lumbar goes to L1 down to L5. Then we go to my sacrum. Your sacrum will go from S1 to S5. And these are my fused vertebrae. Don't forget these little ones at the end. Boop, boop. Okay, the little ones at the end are your almighty coccyx. Okay, so if we're looking at your coccyx, okay, the coccyx is the tailbone in humans. With the sacrum and the coccyx, a lot of times you guys can tell whether it's male or female by the orientation of these two bones. It's hard to give you a number on the coccyx. Most textbooks will say humans on average have 4, but they can vary here. These are mini vertebrae, okay, and they are just fused together, and so coccyx is your mini vertebrae. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it. You have just mastered the vertebrae. So here is your quiz. Try to do me a favor and label all these. Now, these are the same pictures. By that I mean A and A is the same thing. So this might be a little confusing, but this should not, okay? You know that's the thickest part of the vertebrae, so A is the body, and then B and so on and so on. Over here, I just want you to label what's 1 and 2, what are the branches 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the answer key's coming up. I hope you learned something about vertebrae, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.